Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Now, as we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, Michael Bloomberg has said that he will not be running for president. He's evidently very confident that Hillary Clinton is going to be the nominee. He may want to reconsider that at some point in the future, though. That's why I said never say never for the James Bond villain, Michael Bloomberg. This is an article from the New American, and it quotes Judge Napolitano saying that a grand jury may soon indict Hillary Clinton. And listen to his reasoning. It is very sound. He points out Brian Pagliano has been given an immunity deal. This is someone who installed the server for Hillary Clinton. He says that means the investigation has gone to the next step, that the Justice Department has convened a grand jury and is presenting evidence to the grand jury, and it wants evidence from the guy who installed the server. And because Pagliano asserted his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, they offered him immunity, meaning he cannot be prosecuted for the words he used. And of course, this is what's behind this, folks. Whenever they grant immunity to somebody lower down in the issue, the crime syndicate, if you want to put it that way, or in the case, they're going after somebody who is higher up. Who would that be? Maybe Hillary Clinton, maybe her close associate, Huma Abedin. He points out immunity can be granted only by a federal judge. A federal judge would grant immunity only to help the government elicit testimony before a grand jury. He says because of these two reasons, Judge Napolitano says, we know a grand jury is sitting, we know that prosecutors are working on this, and we know they want to indict someone. So he says they're going to ask him questions like, who was present when this conspiracy was hatched? Understand, that's what we're talking about here. This is a conspiracy by Hillary Clinton to take classified documents and her emails and put them on a private server for whatever purpose. It suited her to personally take these emails and to ignore the restrictions on classified documents, highly classified documents. We've had so many people in the Obama administration who were journalists, who were whistleblowers, who have been persecuted. We've had NSA whistleblowers that they have come after, persecuted and prosecuted, trying to send to jail for nothing that even comes close to comparing to what Hillary Clinton did. He points out this office of the Secretary of State. How was this conspiracy hatched? Who did it? Who hatched the conspiracy to divert national security secrets from a secure server to a non-secure venue? The Washington Times quoted a former U.S. attorney for the District of Colorado. He said, you can assume there is a grand jury. You don't go out and investigate unless you've got a grand jury because there's no authority to do subpoenas or to compel people to do anything. With immunity agreements, that means, by definition, that there is a grand jury investigation that's going on someplace. Now, of course, we now have two sources pointing out exactly what is going on with this. Now, when we look at what's going on in automation, we look at what's going on with jobs. We had this story about a week or two ago pointing out the irony that the foremost promoter of removing humans as drivers, Mercedes-Benz, was going to be removing robots out of their factories, out of their assembly lines. And of course, what they said was they were going to do it to promote flexibility. They said the robots cannot handle the pace of change. They can't handle the complexity of key customization options available for the company's S-Class saloons in the 101-year-old plant that is producing 400,000 vehicles a year. They say there's a dizzying number of options for the cars. It demands adaptability and flexibility, two traits where humans currently outperform robots. Well, isn't that interesting? Because those are also traits, adaptability, flexibility, being able to react quickly to things. Those are also traits that you want in drivers, isn't it? Okay, except when you're Mercedes-Benz or when you are somebody like BMW, which amazingly is now coming out and joining this. This has become a rush over the cliff for these car manufacturers because, you know, BMW has always promoted itself as the ultimate driving machine. Now it's going to be, I guess, the ultimate non-driving machine. This article out of Bloomberg says BMW sees its future shift to the ultimate self-driving machine. No, it's a non-driving machine. They say they want to liberate drivers through automation. They say this is a major opportunity for revolutionizing mobility. Yeah, it will revolutionize mobility. It will also put a lot of companies like BMW who have offered these cars to people, it will put them out of business. They say BMW wants to make driving a choice. I wouldn't have a problem with it if I believed that for a minute. The self-driving robot cars are not going to be offered as a choice. This is a means of control for the population. This is something that is being forced down our throat by the same globalist elitists who hate the human workers, but put them in by necessity, as we just saw with Mercedes. But they don't like us controlling anything about our lives. They want to control, they want to track us, and they want to pacify us. And I think it is very interesting when we look at some of the things that they're offering here that are absolute nonsense. They say, well, BMW has shown a video of how a light on the dashboard might do the equivalent of waving a pedestrian forward at a crosswalk by blinking green. And I have to ask, how is this better than an actual driver waving their hand? All of this complication does nothing except to increase the cost of cars. And of course, cars will be controlled by the government. They say the future of mobility will be to connect every aspect of people's lives. And that's precisely where the problem is. The problem is with the Internet of Things, and adding cars to that increases our risk for many different problems. It's a danger to us in terms of privacy. It's a danger to us in terms of control. And of course, it is a danger to our safety because these things can be hacked. Finally, they say, BMW says, people will go around in robots on wheels, because that truly is what we're talking about here. We're talking about autonomous robots that will transport you around. We need to understand what they are. They're another form of autonomous killer robots. They will literally kill us, but they will kill so many other aspects of our freedom, of our independence, of our self-reliance. And then BMW finally has this question. They say, how will we justify the existence of vehicles by BMW, a brand for whom the individual and the sheer driving pleasure are the focus of everything? Yeah, you have to understand that when it comes to things like this, it is the journey, not just the destination. And BMW is throwing that away. Now, people are not unaware of what's going on. And of course, I was happy to see that not only does a survey that's reported from CBS say that the majority of Americans are afraid to travel in self-driving cars, it truly are the younger people, the millennials, who understand what the situations are. Perhaps they are going to be more reluctant to ride in these things than the older generations. They say 75% of Americans are afraid to ride in a self-driving vehicle. Even young people are reluctant to embrace this new technology. An 18-year-old says, if you have a car that drives for itself, you can't prevent yourself from getting into an accident. A 24-year-old says, what if I'm driving one day and somebody hacks my car and crashes it into another car? There's a lot of cons to this concept itself, because with a computer, you can rule the world nowadays. A 21-year-old says, it just makes society lazier. We already have everything that does everything for us. Why do we need cars that drive for us? That is the true issue. And of course, it's not just self-driving cars are trying to ram down our throat. It is also the open borders and immigration. We have some new metrics on this today. 61% of Americans agree that continued immigration of the country is jeopardizing the existence of the United States. It is an existential issue. It will kill our economy. It will kill us as a country. It will kill us as a culture. That is by design. Take a look at this particular article here. New Mexico ranchers outraged by lack of security at the border. Okay, this is why we don't like open borders. They don't have any security at the borders, and yet we have the BLM harassing and bullying people, but they can't be bothered with any border agents. They point out a ranch hand working in New Mexico's Boot Heel stumbles upon men, 2 or 3 vehicles stranded in a remote cattle country. They turn out to be drug runners from Mexico. They take him hostage. They load his vehicle with narcotics. They force him to drive to Wilcox, Arizona, where they leave him alive, but warn him not to go to the police. And of course, the person who knows him, his family member, says they kidnapped him. They tied him up, threw all our tools in there, fittings, loaded our company vehicle with all the drugs. She says they waited till dark because they needed him to come out. She says, this is still pretty raw. We got him back safely, but they did rough him up. We still got him back, but it is a mess. Yeah, our border is a mess. And all we see is the globalists telling us that we're bad people. We're xenophobic. We have to embrace this. The Pope himself this weekend said the migrant tidal wave is an invasion. But he says it's a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing for him. It's what they want. It's what they have planned. But we are going to stop it. We're not going to allow them to destroy our country. We're not going to allow them to destroy our economy. Stay with us when we come back. We're going to take a look at Nancy Reagan's legacy. Just say no. KNOW. We'll be right back.
fellow InfoWarriors, I am very excited to be able to announce to you the introduction at InfoWarsLife.com of a new way to save time and money when you stock up on InfoWars Life formulations like Survival Shield X2 and Super Male Vitality. Just go to InfoWarsLife.com today, select your favorite product, click on Auto Ship before adding to cart, and choose how often you want us to send you another order. Every time you choose Auto Ship at InfoWarsLife.com, you get 10% off, and you won't have to worry about running out and having to reorder next time. And of course, you can cancel with one click anytime. As you know, I'm all about the idea of a 360 win, and the new auto ship feature at InfoWarsLife.com is a sure win for everybody. A win for liberty, a win for health, and a win when it comes to big savings. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today and save 10% on your next InfoWars Life order by selecting auto ship at checkout. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.